Roman Holiday on 4K Blu-ray. So clearly I've enjoyed this movie over the years because this is my triple dip of this thing. I feel like I just barely brought the Paramount Presents one, this one right there, dang it. But when I found out it was coming out on 4K, I had to pre-order it because I love this movie and I wanted to watch it in the very best format. That was the DVD that fell. It's symbolic. Okay, so right off the bat, I wanted to talk about the difference between these two versions. So the 4K and the Paramount Presents Blu-ray. Speaking of which, the 4K pretty much comes with the same stuff that's in the Paramount Presents one. So you're really not missing anything by going to this one. Now it does look like there's a couple things on the DVD that don't carry over. So if I can get that to focus. Well, it's in my unboxing anyway. So no worry on the special features. But when I was comparing the two, like visual quality, because audio they're the exact same. But visually, what I noticed between the two is that first of all, the Paramount Presents 4K looks really good. But when compared to the brand new 70th anniversary 4K Blu-ray with Dolby Vision, the Blu-ray is no longer the best. I feel like I'm watching a video, whereas when I watch the 4K of this movie, I feel like I'm actually watching like a 35 millimeter film of this movie. So the Blu-ray looks good, but it looks brighter and almost like it has like a milky screen over it. And then the 4K has a slight uptick in detail, but the huge difference is the HDR Dolby Vision. Just where the 4K comes off as a little bit darker, but there's more detail and there's more delineation between all the different shades of black, and so it's a lot more enjoyable to watch. And I feel like I'm actually watching the people, like as close to I can as looking back into 1953 and watching these people. Whereas on the Blu-ray, the whole time it's like, yep, I'm watching a video of these people, and it looks really good. It's a little bit brighter. It looks a little too bright in my opinion. So is the Blu-ray bad looking? No, it looks really great. But this is the definitive version, the 4K, and it looks really good, and I love this movie. So even if there was like a slight uptick, I had to go for it. And with the Dolby Vision, it absolutely makes a big difference with the lights and the darks. So recommend. As far as the mono audio goes, it's the same on both discs. I couldn't tell a difference. One thing though, I feel like I had to turn it way up. I feel like I had to turn the volume way up to actually hear everything. So I don't know if that's just the mix or what, but like I actually had it maxed out at one point. So it sounded good though. It was very clean and clear, but I feel like it was on the quiet side. So absolutely worth an upgrade. As far as I can tell, the Blu-ray that comes with it is the exact same as the Paramount Presents. It just has a different artwork on it. But totally worth it for this amazing movie. Now we're going to go through the movie, and I'm going to talk about stuff that I noticed and that I liked and that I thought about. So it's going to be like it's a book club, and it's my turn to talk. So here we go. We're going to start with a shot that I really like at the beginning of the movie. What I like about this shot coming up as they come down the hall is just this depth to the image. Look at that. Well, and then right here looks amazing too. But just that last part when they were coming down the hall, I thought it looked so good. The cinematography in here is amazing. Speaking of the person who made this movie, obviously it was a lot of people, but William Wyler, the director, he directed a whole bunch of movies, but for me, two other amazing movies that I love, that I would love 4Ks of. One is The Best Years of Our Lives, which totally blew me away when I saw it. And then Ben-Hur, which is just so epic and incredible. So same director on this movie. Very cool. Now, I did strongly encourage my children to watch this with me. So I had a 8-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old. Then there was a 10-month-old crawling around on the floor getting into things he wasn't supposed to. It didn't quite hold the boys' attention, but the two girls were pretty affixed, wondering what was going to happen with the princess. The boy came in and out. So overall, I think they all enjoyed it. I think it was a little long for all of them, but I think they all liked the idea of they all seem caught up in the, does this guy know she's a princess? Does she know that he knows that she's a princess? And just kind of her princess out of the castle adventure. I think they all really enjoyed it. I don't know if it'll pick up on my phone here, but this scene in particular just seemed like a perfect example of how the grain is managed on this 4K transfer. So if, I don't know, let's see if you can even see it. Just like on her face and on her dress. So the point is, you can see the grain tingling around in the image, but with the grain, I feel like I'm looking at absolutely all of the detail on the film. I know if you had an actual film, you could probably see more detail, but being a 35 millimeter film projectionist myself 20 years ago, watching it like this, I feel like I'm watching a film, which makes me feel like I'm watching as close to as possible as just being there. And the grain is just nice and tingly the whole time. It doesn't ever, it's not too heavy and it's not very distracting, and they didn't do anything to scrub it out, which is nice. Seems like studios are getting better at making their 4Ks. So after her little scheduling overblown freak out, the doctor gives her a help her to sleep drug, and he also tells her the best thing for her is to do whatever she wants for a little while, and she really takes that to heart. I'm gonna turn the light out for this part. I love this shot when she's sneaking out, and the camera almost does like a total 360, like watching her up in the corner. So you see her up in the corner of this balcony way up there, and I just love the camera work. How you just get to see that awesome ceiling as she goes around. Then it pauses here for a minute, then keeps going after her Kronk hiding in the bright light shadows moment. Anyway, I just think that's such a cool and unique shot, just that kind of looking up and just kind of turning around as she sneaks around. So wanted to highlight that. The family resemblance between Gregory Peck and his grandson Ethan Peck, who plays Spock in Strange New Worlds, they actually really look similar. And Ethan Peck was blessed with his voice as well. So anyway, it's just kind of cool to see the family resemblance between Ethan Peck and old Gregory here. I love the perfect framing of this shot right here, where you've got the taxi driver in the front talking about his 3 Bambinos and how he needs to get home. Then you got Gregory Peck and El Princess right there. I guess La Princess. But I just love it how they're framed and she's inside the car window there. Just beautiful shot.
Okay. Look, now where do you want to go?
I love this serendipitous moment here where she leaves to go home and they reconnect.
Small world.
She realizes she doesn't have any money, so she just borrows some. And his landlord walks out right as he's pulling out cash to pay her.
How much
I love it. It's just like this subtle joke.
How much you got?
I just love it. It's like this this subtle thing where because he called his landlord and he's like, "Hey, you gotta guard my room. Don't let anyone in or out." And then later he sees her paying this girl, and the landlord's doubly upset because he told him he didn't have any money, and here he is paying her, and then he was trying to get money from his landlord so he could put it towards his little day adventure so that he could win this $5,000 bet that he has with his boss at the newspaper. And then the landlord sees it and he just yells at him. He's like, "You're gonna try and double my money doing that?" Anyway, just funny little moment there. Speaking more of that, this movie has such perfect like introductions and payoffs, not only to like funny things like that, but also like the romantic things, like as it builds, and then also just each moment in this movie builds to later become relevant. I know I said this about The Wrath of Khan, and I still mean it about that, but I think this movie is like the character of Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way. I love this movie, and I think it just is the right amount of everything. It's so easy to watch. And here's Gregory Peck bullying a little kid, attempting to steal her camera. She's like, no, don't. It's my camera. He's trying to take this kid's camera. Oh my gosh. Classic journalist. Here's her new awesome short haircut. Look at that genuine, infectious smile. It's too bad the main characters of this movie are so hard to look at. I love these scenes so much with his friend when he invites his friend to be there and then he suddenly just starts doing all these horrible things to him and his friend's like, okay, fine, I'll leave. And then he's like, no, stay. But I love this. He just is not getting it. He's like, all right, I'll leave.
I guess
Anyway.
I can be gone.
I want to show the whole thing, but I can't. I love those scenes, and there's this one here, and then there's kind of one towards the end. But this guy's awesome. He does such a good job. Boop. Aw, would you look at these two? My goodness, the chemistry in this movie is astounding. Look at that, and they're not too ugly either. This is why I couldn't watch the movie The Croods, because I didn't want to look at the Croods. Look at these guys. This is what I'm used to looking at. Anyway, so this part actually was really cool with added historical context about Audrey Hepburn, because I believe she was a nurse in World War II. My wife said, like, when she was like 16 or something, she was a nurse in World War II, and he's telling a story about the war and how some people were protected by this wall, and now it's like this big wishing wall. So this scene, knowing that she was a nurse during World War II, was actually even more cool and powerful. I love the scene as they're dancing, they're just getting closer and closer, and you can see her hand kind of tightening on his shoulder, and then they stop and look at each other. Oh my gosh. I love she looks up at him and what she says. Hello. It's like I don't know, it's like they're meeting each other for the first time. I love it. Look at how snuggly they are. Oh my gosh. How can that not bring a warm and fuzzy to your heart? So another thing I love about this movie, so she's right here telling him that he's so selfless and he spent the whole day doing everything that she wanted to. And of course, we as the audience are like, but he's totally doing it for $5,000. He's not doing it for just you. But that last dance scene where they're like hello to each other, kind of for the first time realizing how they totally feel. What I love about this movie is that it perfectly sets itself up to have the super annoying like breakup montage, or like he changes his mind and doesn't want the news article released, but then it gets released anyway, and then she finds out and then they're all mad at each other. No, it doesn't happen. Like it's building and building. Like it's like, oh no, like they're falling in love and he's still doing this for money, and then the article's gonna come out, it's gonna be so bad, and then it doesn't happen. He changes his mind, he decides not to release the article. And I love that about this movie, because there's already enough like tension with people trying to capture her, I guess, and bring her back to her royalty, and if people are going to discover her and their secret and everything. I just think it would be too much if like the article got released and there was like the stupid breakup montage. So I love that it doesn't have that, and I think that's just another example of how perfect this movie is. So then when the friend presents her with the envelope of all the funny pictures at the end, instead of it being like this scandalous thing like, oh, you were taking pictures of me, it's like she pulls the picture out, and the first one she sees is her cracking a guy over the head with a guitar in this following scene. And so instead of it being like the scandalous thing like, you were a journalist and you didn't tell me I'm mad, breakup montage, it's more like this is a super funny picture that I could never show to anybody, and it's like this cool shared experience between him and the photographer. So again, those photos in a lesser movie would be used to make her all mad and ruin everything, but in this movie they just add to the sweetness of it. I love this bar fight, how the band just starts playing again while everyone's all fighting. It's such a good brawl right here. It's perfect. Ah! Oh my goodness, so many feelings.
Suit you. You should always wear my clothes.
You should always wear my clothes.
Seems I do.
So this scene, there's so much like chemistry and tension, as it seems like they both kind of know that each other knows their secret at this point. I I think she knows that he knows, but maybe not. But my goodness, so they're back at his apartment again, the elevator, and they just these little lines keep popping up that it's like, oh my gosh, these guys want to domesticate each other. Um, the fan fiction sequel to this movie is them getting married and having babies. In my head,
I like to do all those things.
she talks about all the stuff she knows how to do.
I haven't had the chance to do it for anyone.
She hasn't had the chance to make food or do all these domestic things for anyone.
I don't have to move. I get myself a place with a kitchen.
Yes.
My goodness, seriously, it is back and forth. She's like, I should make some food, and he's like, I don't have a kitchen, and he's like, I eat out all the time, and she's like, oh, do you like that? And he's like, one doesn't always have things happen that you like, and she's like, yeah. And anyway, so there's just so much like relating, and then she's like, I know how to do all that stuff. I can cook. I can do all this. Like, she basically lists all these like traditional domestic things. She's like, sew, clean, cook. And then she says, but I haven't had the chance to do them. And instead of just saying do them, she says for anyone, like specifically like a one. And she turns around and she looks at the bed when she says that. There is so much heavy tension in this scene. It is palpable. Oh, and then of course right there, he's like, I'm going to have to move somewhere with a kitchen. And she's like, yep. And it's just like, oh my goodness. They are both like professing their undying love for each other. Like right here, just being like, she's like, I could do this. And he's like, I could do this. And so they're basically, without saying it, like, we want to make a life together. Not just like, wow, that was a fun day. But like the things that they're saying back and forth to each other in the scene are pretty heavy. He's like, I would change for you. And she's like, I would do this for you. It's pretty incredible. This profile, double profile, kind of.
I think when you weren't.
It's beautiful. They're so sad. It's okay, because in my head, they're going to get married and have babies in the future. That's the only way my heart can handle this movie. So there's even a part where he wants to tell her what's been going on, and she's like, no, don't. So I think it's very clear that they both know each other's secrets. This part's awesome. They're kind of like lecturing her on being gone.
I find it necessary to use that word again. Were I not completely aware of my duty to my family and my country, I would not have come back tonight.
So I love she has such great like royalty and command presence, where we saw her just like playing and having fun in Rome, and then she gets back with her subjects essentially, and my goodness, she has a like serious screen presence, even though she's just a little baby. And it does make me feel good to know that she is going back to her people because of duty. And I love hearing her say she would not have gone back if it wasn't for that. It's just like, yeah. And in case you're wondering if they're still good or if she's mad that he's a journalist,
Joe Bradley, American News.
we get to see. I feel like this whole scene is like, yeah, they're good. They're on good terms. Because she was supposed to say that she enjoyed all of her countries equally on her European tour, but she says Rome was her favorite and looks right at him, and she's like, I will cherish this forever. And then he's looking right at her, and it's just like, oh my gosh. But she comes down there and shakes his hand, and it's just like, okay, they're good. Because I think a lesser movie would have her be all mad and, again, have that stupid breakup montage. So I love that this movie does not have that. I mean, I don't even really have a chance to get together, but yeah, you get to see that they are on good terms at the end. Anyway, thank you for watching. This movie on 4K is absolutely worth it. It looks beautiful on a professionally calibrated TV. I really felt like I was as close to being there as possible. And I've loved this movie ever since. I think I studied it in a film class in high school a long time ago. But it's such a good movie. And the ending is kind of open. I mean, you could say it's cut and dry. They don't get together, but I think it leaves it open a little bit. Maybe not. To me, it does. Anyway, thanks for watching. What do you think of this movie? And do you think it's worth the upgrade for the slight uptick in resolution and the amazing Dolby Vision? So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.